People often say that sparrows have fragile bones and humble fates. Born confined in cages, they can never fly beyond limited boundaries or escape the destined cruelty of the world. Such has been my life. I was born insignificant, drifting through life like duckweed without family reliance or future hope. Like the most unremarkable sparrow under the eaves, I drifted in wind and rain and settled in dust, living a quiet, light, and neglected existence. The world sees me as gentle and submissive, thus assuming I am innately cowardly, worthless, and destined to be trampled, abandoned, and betrayed. Yet no one knows that though my appearance is soft, my bones hold unyielding strength. My gentleness is a forced disguise, my humbleness an unavoidable circumstance, and the stubborn affection carved into my bones is the original heart I have never been willing to abandon all my life. I once thought mortal love was always tender, and sincerity would always be rewarded with companionship. I was once innocent and pure, wholeheartedly devoting all my tenderness, passion, and fearless courage to one person. I craved no prosperity, no title, no glorious perfection admired by the world. I only longed for sincere treatment, peaceful days, and lasting companionship. But I forgot that no matter how sincere a sparrow is, it can never surpass the vast sky. No matter how earnest a mortal is, they can never defeat worldly trade-offs. My wholehearted devotion was taken for granted by him. My deepest tenderness became insignificant to him, and all the grievances I endured silently were always the first to be abandoned in his balanced life choices. I loved him for an entire youth, loving him humbly in the dust, restraining all my edges and corners, and willingly trapping myself in his small world, becoming a sparrow, singing only for him. He was the only mountains and rivers in my eyes, the only light in my gloomy years, and the only obsession in my barren life. I folded my wings for him, endured in silence, yielded repeatedly, and bore all cold stares, public criticism, and unkind grievances alone. I once believed that enough perseverance, sincerity, and deep love would eventually make my heart seen, my persistence cherished, and my years of waiting rewarded with unregretful companionship. But I gradually woke up to the truth. Some people's lives never pause for anyone, and some preferences based on trade-offs never belonged to me from the very start. He had his brilliant future, his unavoidable helplessness, and his destined mountains and rivers to pursue. I was merely a temporary stop on his journey, the most negligible and dispensable speck of dust among his countless landscapes. I was optional to him, yet he was my one and only for a lifetime. This is the most absurd, deepest, and unsolvable love tribulation of my life. I have seen him high-spirited with open rivers and mountains in his eyes, and also seen him cold and withdrawn while weighing gains and losses. When he was gentle, he was enough to make me indulge and obsess for a lifetime. When he was decisive and ruthless, he shattered my sincerity, extinguished my expectations, and destroyed all the passion of my youth. He granted me a moment of light, making me mistakenly believe the world was worthy and love was promising, then took back all tenderness with his own hands, letting me fall into the abyss, break inch by inch, and lose all shelter. On countless quiet nights, I sit alone, listening to the wind drifting through alleys and my turbulent thoughts, reviewing our past over and over again. I never wronged him, never deceived him, never perfunctory him in the slightest. I treated his cold trade-offs with the purest sincerity. I understood his difficulties, pitied his hardships, and forgave his helplessness, so I never pestered, resented, or complained. I only endured silently, yielded repeatedly, and buried all sorrows deep in my bones to digest alone. Yet gentleness has limits, deep affection has an end, and even a sparrow has moments of exhaustion. Time and again, I folded my wings, lowered my pride, and forgave his estrangement and betrayal, only to receive escalating neglect, taken for granted indebtedness, and unhesitating abandonment. I finally understand that though sparrow bones are light, they have bottom lines. Though sincerity is soft, it can be exhausted. I can be humble, forbearing, and silent, but I cannot trap myself in the same place forever, being a blood-singing caged bird with no one to cherish me. My deep love is not a cheap gift, my tenderness is not to be consumed arbitrarily, and my sincerity deserves proper placement and earnest cherishment. Once I thought love meant giving everything, devoting unconditionally, and persisting without regret regardless of outcome. But later I learned that true love should not be self-consumption, self-bondage, or self-sinking. True perfection is never trapping others, but forgiving myself. I survived the uncherished years, the torment of repeated entanglement, the obsession of unrequited love, and the disappointment of repeated failures. From full passion to desolation of heart, from wholehearted devotion to steady retreat, from having no one but him to letting everything go. Now I am still gentle, but no longer humble, still tender, but no longer cheap. The softness in my bones remains, yet the stubbornness in my bones has awakened. I still believe in love, sincerity, and worldly tenderness, but I will no longer bet all my fearless courage on someone who never looks back, never favors me, and never chooses me firmly. I am a sparrow with light bones, yet I can break free from cages. My journey has been bitter, yet I can redeem myself. Once I folded my wings for him, trapped in an emotional cage. From now on, I spread my wings for myself, flying toward the vast mountains and seas. I will seal up, let go, and return all the bone-piercing affection, years of obsession, and blood-tearing waiting to the past. From this day on, love is sealed, affection ends, the sparrow leaves the cage, and the rest of my life belongs to freedom. I will no longer linger for anyone, humble myself for anyone, or exhaust my life for anyone. I rise against the wind, traverse thousands of rivers and mountains by my own strength, and for the long years ahead, I am loyal only to myself, peaceful only in my heart, and free only in my life. The world always thinks that once a sparrow breaks free from its cage, it should fly boldly toward passion, break completely with the past, struggle with love and hatred, and rewrite its fate vigorously. But they fail to understand that after half a lifetime of imprisonment, my fragile bones have long shed the recklessness and publicity of youth. My rebirth is no longer a hysterical resistance, but a silent relief, a gentle reconciliation with myself after experiencing countless vicissitudes, and a peaceful farewell to all the regrets of the past. I no longer resent the cruelty of fate, no longer dwell on the coldness of human relationships, no longer obsess over unfulfilled love. The shackles that have bound me for years have finally disintegrated and turned to dust little by little in my daily self-healing. Once, I always regarded love as the sole salvation of my life, and the preference of one person as the only way home. I thought clinging to deep affection could withstand all the storms and frustrations in the world. Therefore, I folded my wings, suppressed my true heart, sealed all my vivid emotions and sharp edges, and willingly became a caged sparrow attached to his small world. I feared my publicity would disturb his future, my obsession would hinder his steps, and my humbleness would be unworthy of his magnanimity. So I yielded, endured, and consumed myself endlessly, turning myself into an unnoticed, silent shadow, an existence that only lived for him. Looking back now, I feel absurd and regretful. I was originally a sparrow standing proudly in the mountains and fields, born to chase the vast sky and flowing clouds, to listen to the wind from all directions. I should never have been trapped in the trivialities of love, imprisoned in one person's heart, or gambled my long remaining life on a love rooted in trade-offs. My bones are light, yet they can bear the vastness of mountains and rivers. My fate is humble, yet I deserve all the magnificent scenery in the world. It was never fate that confined me, but I chose to trap myself. It was never love that failed me, but I chose to sink voluntarily. On countless quiet mornings after breaking free from my shackles, I stand quietly by the window, watching the morning light spread over the eaves, the breeze drift through the streets, and birds shuttle across the sky, with only clarity and peace left in my heart. No more tossing and turning longing, no more anxiety of gain and loss, no more sourness of unrequited love. I finally understand that letting go is not giving up, nor a helpless compromise, but thorough sobriety and clarity. Letting him go is not losing the rest of my life, but regaining a complete self. I once consumed myself repeatedly, wondering why my wholehearted devotion could not exchange firm preference, and why my sincere affection could only be abandoned and weighed. Now I finally realize that love is never an equivalent exchange, and deep affection never guarantees mutual devotion. Some people are born cold-hearted, some are born to calculate gains and losses, and for some, future glory always comes first, with love only as a dispensable embellishment in their lives. I need not blame his indifference or resent his betrayal. Our original hearts and destined paths have always been different. He pursues splendid prospects and worldly glory, while I yearn for sincere companionship and gentle years. From the very beginning, we walked opposite ways with no final reunion. I no longer dwell on right or wrong, success or failure, nor indulge in the trivial warmth of the past to paralyze myself. I no longer completely deny or hate the fleeting tenderness he once gave me, but simply place it gently in my memory. I admit the beauty of our encounter and calmly accept the regret of our ending. It is true that I loved, true that I regretted, and also true that I have let go. From now on, he is a grand passerby in my youth, a profound experience on my road of growth. Nothing more, nothing less. Sparrow bones are light and fragile in appearance, yet extremely tough in essence, seemingly breakable but unbreakable after countless trials. Half a lifetime of imprisonment and tribulations have smoothed my childishness and tempered my moral integrity. I am still gentle, yet possess the confidence to refuse compromise and humbleness. I still retain kindness, yet hold the edge to distinguish human hearts and know advance and retreat. Gentleness is no longer my weakness, and deep affection is no longer my shackle. I have finally become my own reliance, a person who needs no salvation from others. In the days to come, I will walk through mortal storms alone, needing no shelter or preference from anyone. I stand firm against the wind and walk forward in the rain, overcoming hardships by myself, bearing sufferings alone, and understanding my own joys and sorrows. I will no longer change my original heart for anyone, no longer fold my wings for anyone, no longer compromise and wrong myself for anyone. I can dwell quietly under the eaves and also fly freely toward the vast sky, living as I wish, walking as I please, peaceful and unrestrained with no ties or concerns. I once feared loneliness, fearing the long years without company and the thousands of miles of mountains and rivers traveled alone. But after long days of solitude, I finally understand that loneliness is never a punishment, but the best way to heal oneself. Bustling crowds lead to sinking, while solitude brings sobriety. Those neglected days were precisely the best time for me to reshape myself and temper my will. I cast off my humbleness in loneliness, regained my pride in tranquility, and understood my true heart in solitude. I finally realized that the best destination in the world is never a person or a relationship, but the stability and abundance of the heart, the self-sufficient gentleness and magnanimity. The bitter waiting, bone-piercing affection, and years of obsession in the past have all turned into the confidence of my growth. The wounds I endured, the hardships I suffered, the sleepless nights I survived, and the grievances I swallowed never destroyed me, but made me clearer, tougher, and more transparent. I no longer envy the mutual devotion of other lovers, nor admire the perfect companionship of others. The bustle and perfection of others have nothing to do with me. My freedom and magnanimity belong only to myself. For the long rest of my life, I seek no perfect love, no worldly preference, no smooth future. I only wish for a heart without fetters, a body without shackles, eyes filled with mountains and rivers, and a heart filled with freedom. I watch flowers bloom and wither in spring, listen to evening wind and cicada chirps in summer, appreciate fallen leaves returning to dust in autumn, and enjoy peaceful snow in winter. As the 4 seasons rotate and days and nights alternate, I walk alone leisurely, witness all mortal fireworks, traverse all river and mountain scenery, and make up for all the years I once trapped in love and obsession. From this day forward, the sparrow flies out of the cage and shapes its own backbone. Light bones bear mountains and rivers, and gentleness accompanies the rest of life. I reconcile with the past, embrace loneliness, and coexist with freedom. All love and hatred are cleared, all obsessions fade away. For the long years ahead, I submit only to myself and only live up to freedom.